Okay, with the navigation out of the way, now let's create this hero section. As you can see, the hero section has two sides, the left side with this text and the right side with the image. But if you also note, you see that it has a couple of repeating pieces. For example, this text here and these buttons, we have them repeated in a number of places. Here is the text, and we have a button here, even if it's a different background color. If you go down, you see we have the same piece of information here, or the same repeating piece here, and buttons as well. If you go down, you see you have button again and the same text. So it will make sense to have those as reusable pieces. All right, two reusable pieces are here in the hero, this and this. So let's get to work. Now, this is where we left up, so let me minimize this because I'll zoom in a bit on this editor, so I need to make use of the space efficiently. Now, again, I have copied to the clipboard the content for the hero section, so I will paste it. Let's quickly run through it. This is the header class, or this is the header element, and this time around, I'm beginning to use my utility classes. This is FL and if we check our utility, it's there, isn't it? It's FL and you know what it does? Just to set the displays to flex. And in low devices, it set the flex directions to column, giving them a margin bottom of 3. And again, the row PD, you know what that one does? It gives a padding left and right of 10 VW and up and down of 10 rem. So this is the unique class for this section. So now, if I save this and go to my browser, you should see things are already happening there even without writing any CSS. Let's check that. If I refresh now, there you go. You see, even without writing any CSS, we already have the content arranged horizontally with the text to the left and the image to the right. And if I preview on a smaller device, you see the same thing already aligned without doing anything. So that's one of the powers of those utility classes we create. And it's a time saver. So let's go about fixing the other issues now. All right. So if you look at the styles, the selectors to each of them, you have a tagline, you have heading primary apply, which already have a predefined properties assigned. Heading primary is declared in the base.scss. And here you see this block called button is nested inside this element. If you watch the classes on BEM, you will understand what's happening here. Because this is a button that I intend to reuse in other places. It's a standalone block, all right? It is not tied to this hero or this home hero. And of course, the last part is the image to the right. So let's target the home hero class now. And to do that, I'll have to open the home.scss. So .hero home. Now the hero home, what's it? It contains those two sides, the left side of text and the right side of image. So that already tells you that a display is set to flex and flex direction is column. Good, but because we already have all those utility classes attached, I don't need to specify them. So the only thing I want here now is to set a height for it. So let me start with width 100%, even if that is obvious. It doesn't hurt. So a height, I want a height of 85 VH. And if you understand that we have our navigation having a height of 7 rem, what it means here is that view height here will now be, 7 plus the 85 that I'm setting now. And I want to make the text to stay at the center vertically. So again, our dear align item is going to be center. What else? That section has a background color of dark blue. That's the color primary there. So color primary. And if you look at the finished version, let's take a look at the finished version. You see the border radius here. So what do we call that? That's border radius, border bottom. Okay, right radius. And let's give it 30 rem. Good. So this should apply that background color and that border radius. If we view that now, refresh, and there you go. You have it set. Okay, so let's continue with our work. So the next thing we do now is to target the text. And if you check our selectors, you see we have Hero Home text, which contain all the text. But this tagline is a repeating piece, so we'll take care of that later. This heading primary is already taken care of. There are already values and properties set for this heading primary. What we need to do is the punchline and the highlight here. So let's target those. And they are all inside the Hero Home text. So how do I target the Hero Home text? Just say text. If I place my cursor on it, that's how you know whether your declaration is correct. So this is Hero Home text, and so we're correct. Now, in that place, I have a class called punchline. So punchline, and let me quickly target the other one, and that is highlight. The punchline has a color of white. The text there, though not really white, is the color tertiary that we define in the variable, color tertiary, and a font size of about 5.5 rem. And let me give a padding top, so that the padding top of 1 rem and padding bottom of 2 rem. So I could give some gap up and down, give it a save. Then for the highlight, let's see the highlight. This is the highlight that has the word cleaning. Okay, and if we check it in the finished version, you see it has, this orange color, and see color, and that's our color secondary there. What is, because it is actually nested inside another, so I have to set the displays to block, and as a matter of fact, I also have to set the display of punchline to block. So let me set the displays to block, and do same here, display, block. And I guess I can also set the text transform to capitalize. So I want the letter C there to be capitalized. With this, we should have that part set. So let's check it. Refresh here. There we go. Things are looking good now. So again, I have to change this to white. But let's check our HTML. What text is that there? That's heading primary. Focus on your duties. That's heading primary, and heading primary should already be set in our base. So let's check base for heading primary and see what we have set for it there. Heading primary. Okay, we have 2.5 rem, and I'm still going to stick with that. Okay, don't forget that this 2.5 rem is related to the root font size, but I don't want to go back there. So all I need to do is to set its text to white. That's all. So I see the class is heading primary there, and color. Don't forget the color is not actually white, it's color tertiary. And if I check that now, that's it. Focus on your duty, and let's handle the cleaning. Beautiful. So what I have left, this image and these two repeating pieces. So let's take care of them one after the other. So first, this repeating piece here, this text, because it repeats across all the other places, I have to make it a reusable items. So where in our various files should I place this? Well, where you place it is a matter of opinion or choice, actually. Don't forget that the BEM, as well as the 7-in-1 architecture, is non-opinionative. So you can put whatever in wherever, all right? But for me, I think that's a candidate for a mixin. That should be a mixin, but again, I can put it in utility, but I'll put it in mixin. So what do? Let me go to my mixin.scss. That should be in abstract. And here, I want to define this mixin. Maybe I should do it after the viewport. So at mixin, and that mixin, we call it, what do we call it? What do we call that class? We call it tagline. Okay, tagline. And what do we have for this tagline? We have a color light green 9, text transform, uppercase. Font size 1.2 rem should be enough. I want the display to be block. What else? I want its width to actually be auto based on the length of it. I want a padding bottom, or should I say margin bottom? Margin bottom to be about 1 rem, so that it's not totally, it's not too close to the text beneath it. Let me have letter spacing of 0.3. I could just say 0.3. So let's make do with that first. And so when I come here now, don't forget is T here. So what I need to do is tagline, then at include tagline, like so. So let's check what we have so far. There you are. So you have that applied now. So next, I want to take care of the image before I take care of these buttons. So if we check our markup, let me minimize this so you can see clearly. The image is the second child of the home hero. The home hero has 2 children, these that contain the text and these that contain the image. So far we've been dealing with the text, so let's address the image now. Where do we nest that? I will have to come outside of all these places, and let's check so we nest it correctly. Okay, so here, and I can then say image. Is that what I call it? Is it image or img? Okay, image. Now in that image, as a container is the image itself. So I can get inside that place by saying img, and I want it to have a width, okay, of say 80%. Okay, but let's take a look at our selector. Something I have not mentioned since is the fact that we also have one of our utility classes applied, and this is the width, the WD5, which if you check our utility, you see it has a width of 50% applied to it here. Okay, 50%, and at lower devices it's going to be 100%, which we took care of here. Okay, so I already have it applied, so that's the reason why I can talk about 80% of that width, whatever I translate to in the final analysis. So if I do this now and save, check what we have, and there you go. But I want to do something. I want to give a border around this so we see things clearly. Border 1 pz. Let me see, solid. I usually use red so I can see things clearly. Good. So you see that, right? But I want this image to actually flow to the end. So what can I do? Oh, let me leave that first. I can declare this flex item as also a flex container. All I just need to do is to set its display again to flex, and let's say justify content is flex end. Voila. So there you go. So I have that image shifted to the right, and I'm not even sure I did that for the sample project, but that's how it is with design. You do different things in different moments. So that's it about that. So the last thing that we would like to do there is to handle the repeating buttons. That I will leave for the next class.